India is a vast country. A country that is known for its unity in diversity. And lo, diversity is in plenty in our country. While in the north we have the Himalayas and the beautiful Kashmir, we also have the Thar Desert. Greenery abounds in plenty, and so does water. India is a nation of history. History is writ large on all the monuments of our great nation. Each monument telling a different story. It is this country that has a variety of flora and fauna. In this country of philosophy and knowledge, we have a vast coastline. A coastline that runs from Gujarat to the West Bengal. A coastline that's washed by 3 different seas and oceans. The Arabian Sea, the Indian Ocean, and the Bay of Bengal. This coastline has been of paramount importance for our country since times immemorial. Not only trade flourished here, but also this was the guarding frontier for the nation's security. From times immemorial, the ocean has been an integral part of the Indian psyche. And that's the reason why this ocean has been worshipped. From the ancient times, India has had a major naval tradition. A tradition that grew and evolved over a period of time. The Indian Navy is a culmination of India's long-time naval tradition. The Navy is responsible for defense and security of India's maritime interests and assets, both in times of war and peace. Depicting the various aspects of the Indian Navy is the Naval Maritime Gallery at New Delhi. This gallery, dedicated to the naval traditions of India and their evolution, is situated at National Museum on Janpath, New Delhi. This gallery traces the growth and development of India's naval tradition in various literary and other works. One place that's abounded by all sorts of visitors. People come in large numbers to the Naval Museum to have an idea of India's glory past. Greeting the visitors in this Naval Museum, at the very entrance, is the presiding deity of Varun. According to Indian tradition, Varun is the presiding deity of water, and below this deity is written an ancient shlok, which translates, "Be auspicious unto us, O Varuna." The evolution from the traditional to the modern has been slow but steady.
हिंद महासागर जिसके चरण पखारता हो, बंगाल की खाड़ी और अरब सागर जिसको आलिंगनबद्ध किए हो, उस देश में 480 संग्रहालय हो और कोई संग्रहालय जनसेना को समर्पित न हो, ये अपने आप में एक अजूबा था, एक बहुत बड़ी कमी थी। और इस कमी को पूरा किया है मैरीटाइम हेरिटेज को समर्पित एक वीथी जो राष्ट्रीय संग्रहालय जनपद नई दिल्ली में लगाई गई। The maritime heritage of India can be traced back to the 3rd millennium BC, that is 5,000 years from today, when in the excavation of Harappan culture we had a dockyard at Lothal, quite a good number of boats found from various sites, and more importantly, that the people of Indus culture maintained trade relations with Mesopotamia, China, Egypt, primarily sailing through these boats. During the Vedic period, we had a full treatise known as Yukta Kalpataru, which has been dedicated to the shipbuilding. Probably the very first treatise wherein the construction, the measurements, even the wood suitable for the ship had been earmarked. And when it comes to the 3rd century BC, that is the Mauryan period, 2,200 years from today, we had a full-fledged admiral department headed by Nausena Deksh. Chanakya in his Arthashastra had laid down the rules for visa, for passport, and also for the travelers coming from far place. और गुप्त काल जिसको हम स्वर्ण युग के नाम से पुकारते हैं, उसके पास तो एक बहुत बड़ी नौसेना स्थापित हो चुकी थी।
The history of Navy is basically a history of ships, of men, and of will to defend and safeguard the maritime boundaries of India. During the course of last so many centuries, various models of ships and boats are displayed in this particular museum. The boats and the ships of different eras differ, both in design as also their shape. But all in all, these various models attract thousands of visitors every year to the Naval Museum.
In Maritime Navy Gallery, mostly the model of the ships and boats and sailing boats and this navigations instruments are displayed here.
Indian literature, sculpture, painting, and other archaeological evidence point out to a flourishing and a continuing saga of maritime activity from as far back as 3000 BC. The primary maritime activity was trade, but inevitably navies had to be built and maintained. These navies were built to protect one's maritime interest and sovereignty over the seas. A natural corollary of this was the cultural and religious efflorescence that took place between the trading nations. The most remarkable of this was the spread of Indian culture to Southeast Asia. This is perhaps the only instance in history of a nation so decisively spreading its religion and culture without the aid of either the sword or the tax collector.
Actually, we get a whole view about our ancient navy system and about these. You can see here the ships and the नौकाएं वगैरह हैं यहाँ पे, तो हम पूरा का पूरा होल व्यू हमारे को मिल जाता है कि हमारा जो, क्योंकि ऐसे यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है एक मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट में कि हमारा जो नेवल सिस्टम है उसके बिना हम लोग पूरे नहीं हैं, क्योंकि ये भी एक तरीका है जिससे हम अपनी सैनिक शक्ति को सुडौल बना सकते हैं। तो यहाँ पे जैसे हम देख रहे हैं हमारा प्राचीन युग में कैसे नौकाएं थी, मराठा देख रहे हैं हम लोग, ड्रेसेस देख रहे हैं, और यहाँ पे मिसाइल्स वगैरह भी हैं, कुछ आगे शिप्स वगैरह के मॉडल्स हैं। तो टोटल व्यू हमें मिल जाता है कि अभी तक हमारी जो सैन्य शक्ति है, नेवल सैन्य शक्ति है, वो कितना डेवलप की है।
In the Maritime Heritage Gallery, we find not only a picture of the traditional past, a picture full of varied and different chapters of illustrations. The times of the Mughals are also depicted here in different wall paintings. Thereafter came a change which was symbolic of the process of growth of the naval tradition in India, a process that was to culminate in the development of the modern Indian Navy. With the shredding of the continental outlook the world over and interdependence between nations becoming the order of the day, the importance of the seas as also the Navy needs no emphasis.
Best thing I liked about these ships, the modern ships, and the flag, very nice. And the ships and all are very beautiful, and it gives a whole view, like it's very knowledgeable.
The peninsular nature of our country and the vast oceanic wealth it bestows places on the Indian Navy the kind of responsibility that calls for a quantum jump in strength and quality. The Navy can take pride in the balanced development it has achieved so far with a healthy mix of aircraft carriers, guided missile ships, submarines and aircrafts.
भारतीय नौसेना का सबसे ज्यादा जो गौरवमय इतिहास है वो है कान्होजी आंग्रे का। 1704 और 5 के आसपास इस मराठा एडमिरल ने पुर्तगीज, डच और बर्तानिया की जो अजेय जो जल सेना थी उसके छक्के छुड़वा दिए थे। और उस कान्होजी आंग्रे के युग का एक डायरमा यहां प्रदर्शित है और उसमें मराठा नावों को इतने सजीव ढंग से दिखाया गया है कि अभी भी एक रोमांच उपस्थित हो जाता है।
The emergence of the Maratha Navy in the initial stages did not present any serious problem for anyone. But under Shivaji, the growth of the Maratha Navy was accompanied by the formation of a formidable fleet. Shivaji believed in the doctrine of Jalam Jasya Valam Tasya, that is, he who rules the sea is all-powerful. Thereafter, the Maratha Navy grew from strength to strength. This particular scene shows Shivaji's fleet attacking the British fleet and capturing the Dove. The Maratha naval power remained substantial, till the Peshwas joined hands with the British so as to destroy the Maratha naval strongholds. The British changed the picture.
Basically, looking at their costumes and everything, their kind of footwears and headgears and all these people are wearing. Actually, basically, I'm a textile student, and so I'm more interested in the kind of attire. So I'm looking at all that in that sense.
From the times of the Indus Valley civilization down the ages, we found that navies had their own distinctive and invaluable role not only for protection of the country but also for promoting maritime interests. Today, the Indian Navy is a well-balanced three-dimensional force. The Navy has become the one truly strategic service in today's environment. A service that has the most sophisticated missile-capable warships, aircraft carriers, minesweepers, advanced submarines, and the latest aircrafts in its inventory. The Naval Museum attracts visitors not only from India but also from different parts of the world. People who are curious to know the remarkable development that naval tradition has had in our own country. Every chapter of Indian naval history interests them.
Which country do you come from?
We come from Venezuela, South America.
How do you feel like on seeing the Navy Museum?
I think it's fantastic. It's a beautiful story, and finally we see the Indic things before the Arab influence.
And the Navy part of this museum?
It's very interesting.
Anything different from your country?
It is a lot of difference.
Shipbuilding activity in the country as also training and support facilities in the Navy are also being modernized. That is the picture that one gets in the Navy Museum. Many of the warships that the Indian Navy has are of independent indigenous design. These ships have been constructed in Indian shipyards. No wonder these ships compare well with the ships of similar capacity and capability constructed by advanced countries of the world. The Indian naval forces are maintained and supported by modern facilities encompassing the state-of-the-art technology, a subject of tremendous public interest.
What about small school children that come here? What do they feel about it?
They feel proud to see the ships, frigates, and destroyed. When they used to ask me, "Uncle, what is this?" I say, "This is the missiles. It is to be fired on the enemy ship." So they used to be very happy.
The Naval Museum has the Honor Scroll, a scroll which incorporates the names of all those naval officers who laid their lives for the benefit and the security of India's sovereignty. The Naval Museum also displays various instruments used during the course of history for naval purposes. Today, the Indian Navy is a formidable force to reckon with. Nations from all across the world look up to the Indian Navy.
And I believe that you have the most powerful navy in the world right away, right now, in number and in technology. That's what I have read. And I congratulate you and the people of India because of it.
How is this Navy Museum different from your Navy museums in your country?
Not at all. Only that we don't have that British Empire upon, but we have a very old Spanish Empire.
First of all, this is the very first gallery of this kind. And secondly, had this gallery been set up in any other organization, or had it been an independent museum, probably would not have attracted that many number of audiences as it is doing, being a part of the National Museum, which itself is a very, very premier organization. Thirdly, in setting up this gallery, the expertise of the historians, the architects, the designers, and especially those who are, of course, in the Navy, it has been taken into account. So it is a very good combination of the art and archaeology and a naval department and, of course, the designers.
On visiting the Naval Museum, one finds that one is transported into a different era, an era of different shades. In 1947, India became independent. And since then, the Indian Navy grew from heights to heights. A navy that traveled throughout the world. A force that had an impact on even the most mightiest of the nations of the world.
It's not a new thing that's come into our society. Navy was even there in Mohenjo-daro time. Navy was used for trading, even for security purposes, but it's been developed a lot over the ages, and I think it's developed further. And this museum, in fact, gives the holistic view of Indian Navy. The models here and the paintings done very nicely.
All the manuscripts are also present there. You can see that there are present many books and many manuscripts which are showing about our Navy systems, which are giving the directions. You know, in this, when we are present in the sea, we have to get some directions that where to go. So they are giving the whole view.
The coming of the East India Company and the British transformed the picture as far as the naval traditions in India were concerned. Under the British, the Navy grew, and it also expanded substantially. The Navy took part in various expeditions as also battles. Throughout the course of British history, the names were changed often, but the motto remained the same. After 1947, the picture completely changed. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of independent India, said India's Navy is a microcosm of what I believe India should be, a community living together in amity and friendship, irrespective of caste, creed or religion. Vice Admiral R.D. Katare assumed command of the service in 1958, and on his becoming the first Indian Chief of Naval Staff, Indian Navy became fully Indianized. Incidentally, the Indian Navy was also the first service to be honored with the President's color on 27th May 1951. Since then, the Indian Navy has touched many zeniths of progress and prosperity.
And the way they've written about everything is very nice. I mean, like, once you read it and you get a whole picture ki acha haan aisa hua hoga, and you know this must be there and things like that.
And what do you feel after visiting this museum?
It's a really great experience. I mean, like, I don't feel like going out. I want to see more of this whole museum. I've seen some films, I've seen some more things, and I mean, like, I feel I can spend the whole day, in fact 20 days out here.
All the exhibits in the Naval Museum are of tremendous public interest. These not only provide a glimpse into the past, but also a peep into the present. The flag of the Indian Navy, as also its motto, reflects the aspiration of the service. The service, which is known for its will to rise above adversity and face challenge head-on. A remarkable museum like the Naval Museum has tremendous impact and importance for the entire nation.
What do you see is the educational importance of this museum?
Well, primarily, we all have to know about our Navy, its glorious past. Secondly, a nation which does not preserve its past has no business to aspire for a brilliant future. Thirdly, it gives you a sense of identification, to know that you had such a hoary past, to know that you had such wonderful books on Navy, various ships, many admirals, and whole treatise and whole Samudri Vigyan fills you with joy, with dignity, with pleasure, with aspirations.
A visit to the Naval Museum fills everyone with a tremendous sense of satisfaction. Satisfaction at the growth of the Indian Navy and pride of being an Indian. A pride of being protected by the strong Indian Navy. Indeed, the Naval Museum is one of its own kind of museums that is established in our country. A museum that we are proud of. A service museum that is respected for its value throughout the world. Indeed, for the Indian Navy, this service museum is a glorious illustration of its past and present.